If you are holding Iraqi dinars right now and you are waiting for the right moment to exchange them, stop for a second, because there is something you need to hear before you make any decision this week. Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Brief, the channel that gives you clear, honest updates on the Iraqi dinar, the Iraqi economy, and what is really happening behind the headlines, without the hype and without the guesswork. Today we are going to walk through the latest developments coming out of Baghdad and the Central Bank of Iraq. We are going to look at what is actually verified, what is still just speculation, and why so many foreign holders are being told to wait before they exchange. And by the end of this video, you will have a much clearer picture of where things really stand. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about the current exchange rate situation, because this is where most of the confusion starts. The Central Bank of Iraq has kept the official exchange rate close to 1,310 dinars to $1 for a while now, and this rate has stayed fairly stable through the recent policy adjustments. At the same time, the parallel market rate, sometimes called the black market rate, has moved a bit higher than the official rate at different points this year. And that gap between the official rate and the street rate is actually one of the most important numbers to watch, because a shrinking gap usually signals more confidence in the currency, while a widening gap usually signals stress in the banking system or restrictions on access to dollars. Right now, that gap has been narrowing compared to where it was a couple of years ago. And that is a genuinely positive sign, but it does not mean a sudden jump in value is coming. It simply means the system is becoming a little more efficient. Now, let's talk about what has actually been happening on the ground in Iraq, because this is the part that gets skipped in a lot of the more sensational videos you might have seen. The Central Bank of Iraq has continued to push forward with its electronic platform for foreign currency sales, which was designed to replace the old dollar auction system. This platform requires banks and money transfer companies to process dollar transactions electronically instead of through cash. And the entire point of this system is to cut down on money laundering, reduce dollar smuggling, and give the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve more confidence that dollars flowing into Iraq are being used for legitimate trade. This matters a lot because Iraq's access to the US dollar clearing system depends on maintaining that trust, and any bank caught violating these rules risks being cut off from directly processing dollar transactions. Several Iraqi banks have already faced these kinds of restrictions in recent years, and the central bank has continued tightening compliance requirements to prevent it from happening to more institutions. On the economic side, Iraq is still heavily dependent on oil revenue, and that single fact shapes almost everything else about the currency and the budget. When oil prices are strong, the government has more dollars coming in, which supports the dinar and gives the central bank more room to manage the exchange rate. When oil prices soften, that pressure shows up quickly in the budget, in public sector salaries, and in the availability of dollars for imports. Iraq has also been working through ongoing budget negotiations in parliament, and these negotiations affect everything from government spending plans to how much room the central bank has to adjust monetary policy. There have also been continued conversations with the International Monetary Fund about fiscal reform, banking sector modernization, and reducing Iraq's reliance on cash transactions. And these conversations are part of a longer-term reform plan rather than a short-term event. So now let's get to the part everyone really wants to know about, which is the idea of a dinar revaluation, sometimes called an RV. This is the rumor that has circulated online for years. The idea that the Iraqi dinar is about to jump dramatically in value, sometimes to levels like 1 dinar equaling $1 or even more virtually overnight. And here is the honest truth. There is no official statement from the Central Bank of Iraq, the Iraqi government, the International Monetary Fund, or the United States Treasury that supports this kind of sudden dramatic revaluation. Currency values do not typically move that way in a stable, planned economy, and any real change to Iraq's exchange rate policy would be a gradual process tied to inflation control, oil revenue, foreign reserves, and trade balances. Not a single overnight announcement. This is exactly why the title of this video carries a warning, because there are people and websites out there encouraging foreign dinar holders to wait, to hold, and sometimes even to pay for early access to supposedly exchange their currency before a revaluation happens. And this pattern has been used in scams for years. If someone is asking you to pay a fee, provide banking details, or exchange your diners through anything other than a licensed, regulated financial institution, that is a major red flag, and you should stop and verify everything independently, what you should actually be watching. If you want a realistic and grounded view of where the dinar stands, are the official communications from the Central Bank of Iraq, the reports from the International Monetary Fund on Iraq's Article 4 consultations, and coverage from established financial news sources that cover the Middle East and emerging market currencies. These sources will not give you exciting overnight predictions, but they will give you an accurate picture of inflation trends inside Iraq, foreign currency reserves held by the central bank, the strength of oil exports, and how the exchange rate is actually behaving month to month. Iraq's foreign currency reserves have remained relatively healthy in recent reporting, which does support currency stability, but stability is very different from a sudden jump in value. And it is important not to confuse the two. Let's also talk briefly about what this means. If you are someone holding dinars as a long-term speculative position, the reality is that currency speculation on the Iraqi dinar has been a popular idea online for close to 2 decades now. And in that time, no dramatic revaluation event has occurred. That does not mean the Iraqi economy is not making progress, because in many ways it is, with improved banking regulation, a more modern currency exchange platform, and a continued push toward diversifying the economy beyond oil. But progress like this tends to be slow, structural, and measured in small percentage moves over years, not sudden multiples overnight. If you are holding dinars, the most responsible approach is to treat any potential gain as a long shot rather than a guaranteed outcome, and to make financial decisions based on verified information rather than rumors circulating in online forums or social media groups. So where does that leave us right now? Heading into the next few months, the Central Bank of Iraq is expected to continue its gradual reforms to the banking and currency exchange system. Continued oversight from international partners is expected to keep pushing Iraqi banks toward more transparent dollar transactions, and the government will likely continue working through its budget process in parliament, which affects public spending and by extension the broader economy. None of this points to an imminent dramatic revaluation, but it does point to a currency and a banking system that is slowly becoming more modern, more transparent, and more integrated with the global financial system. And that, in the long run, is a healthier outcome for Iraq than a sudden speculative jump would ever be. Before you go, here's the takeaway. If you are a foreign dinar holder waiting to exchange, do not rush based on rumors. Do not send money or personal information to anyone promising early access to a revaluation. And always verify updates directly through the Central Bank of Iraq or trusted financial reporting. That is the real warning behind today's video. Not a secret event that is about to happen, but a reminder to protect yourself from misinformation while staying genuinely informed about what is real. If this video helped clear things up for you, give it a like, subscribe to Iraqi Dinar Brief for continued honest updates, and drop a comment letting us know what topic you want us to cover next. Thanks for watching, stay informed, and we will see you in the next update.